So I woke up this morning with a heavy heart, and I know I'm not alone in that. The growing tensions throughout the entire globe, yeah, it's intense, and it's quite easy to open up our phones and then get swept away by the pain and the violence and the rage of our fellow humans. And I feel like these days I have to constantly remind myself that, yes, it's important to stay informed and educated, but equally important to remember that right here, right now, I'm okay. More than likely, we're okay. We are safe. And if I just check the guilt that comes from that statement, because there's a lot of guilt, isn't there? Right? There is way more available to me in this present moment than defeatism could ever give me. And judging by the route we're headed with some of these major astrological transits, I'm talking about Pluto and Aquarius, Neptune and Saturn both moving into Aries, Uranus about to enter Gemini, it really feels like we're headed toward the war-torn streets the beginning of this year has already begun to showcase. There is a ramping up of the collective liberation oriented Aquarius archetype as we begin inching toward the fiery and confrontational force that is Aries. And as an Aries myself, I've grown quite familiar with this archetype, its shadows, its lightness, its bravery, and also its sheer blindness to the reality of what is. So let's start with what Aries actually is. Then I'll break down the major astrological transits, and then I'll give you some practical guidance for moving through this energy. So beginning with Aries, you see, Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, is ultimately about survival. Propelled into life, Aries is the primitive guinea pig who is brought into the world to face reality. And the key distinction here is face. When life is new, there's a lot of scary things in this world, things to protect ourselves from, new thrills, new chills, new feelings, new everything, new impulses. And the way Aries meets the newness of this world is through action and impulse and trial and error. Okay? And at first, this all seems quite chaotic because, quite frankly, it is. This approach of act first, think later becomes a foreign concept to the signs later on in the zodiac who have been granted the gift of experience. But Aries is different. Aries learns in real time and they let go of experience as soon as it doesn't serve them. And I want us to think about a newborn baby for a second because that baby doesn't think about crying. It doesn't strategize about whether now is the right time to demand food. That baby just opens its mouth and screams because the instinct to survive is louder than anything else. And that is Aries. That first breath, that refusal to not exist, that I have a right to be here energy before anyone taught you to doubt it. And to really bring the Aries story alive, we got to look at the circle of life here because no matter the living organism, we see this thread of life trying to defend itself. Life wants to live, and sometimes, no matter the consequence, it will do whatever it takes to ensure its survival. The hawk preys on the vulnerable. Even invasive cacti feed off of the life of trees. Man versus man, this world is in constant war with itself. And I don't say this to instill fear, but rather to look at the reality of what is. Because while yes, the world is at war with itself, it is also in perfect balance. A lesson we learn further down the zodiacal road with Libra, which is Aries' perfect opposite. But back to the star of the show for now. We're talking about Aries. We're talking about survival, war, protection, self-preservation. And the question here is, are we just gonna wait for life to happen to us, or are we gonna respond? Are we gonna react? And that right there is Aries at its finest. And of course, we're already seeing the implications of this Aries era we're about to embark into, where these themes of the value of life are being pulled into question. In Minneapolis, we're seeing the people rise up against ICE. The Trump administration, unfortunately, has sent over 2,000 federal agents for what they're calling the largest immigration operation ever. All the while, the community isn't backing down. People are patrolling neighborhoods from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in freezing temperatures, wearing neon vests and beanies that say fuck ice, whistling to warn their neighbors against agents who show up. In Iran, we're seeing demonstrations causing internet blackouts. Millions of people in the streets across 31 provinces, and the government response was to shut the internet down. And who knows what happened in those 48 hours? We still don't know the exact death toll. And regardless of that, people are still showing their faces, still chanting that this year is the year of sacrifice. Of course, we cannot speak of survival without talking about Gaza, where over 420 Palestinians have been killed since the so-called ceasefire began that we know of. But people, again, they keep showing up to provide services even as their colleagues are being murdered. This is all very Aquarian, of course. The people are waking up, the collective is rising. It's very exciting, it's very intense. But what we haven't seen yet is this Pluto and Aquarius alignment with Neptune and Saturn in Aries, which is going to give even more self-preserving fire to the people. And unfortunately, more power to the opposing force as well. The violence is only going to ramp up, and the fuck you-ness that is Aries is only going to get louder and more confrontational. So let's talk about what's shifting, because for the last 15 years, we've had Neptune and Pisces, and Neptune and Pisces gave us a lot. It really broke our hearts wide open and revealed just how interconnected we are. It catapulted many of us into our very own spiritual awakenings, very Piscean. But it also gave us escapism. It created this Instagrammable version of spirituality, also compassion fatigue, and all these meditation apps promising us that they can help us transcend reality. Like, whatever. Regardless, Saturn and Pisces over the last couple of years really popped that Neptune and Pisces bubble hard, and it revealed how deeply many of us care and how deeply many only care for themselves. This transit really carved out a path to an ideological, psychic, physical war we are already in the experience of. Now, Neptune in Aries marks a pivotal point where we're going to slowly begin a deeply spiritual exploration of the shape of our courage, our action, and our drive. And here's the thing, these feelings that, thank you Neptune and Pisces for connecting us to them, these feelings though, they're not much use if we don't do anything with them. Like, you can't meditate your way out of ICE agents at your door. You can't positive think your way past an internet blackout designed to hide a massacre. Neptune in Aries spirituality, it has to cost something. It's very different than Neptune in Pisces. And it's important to know here that the last time Neptune was in Aries was 1861 to 1875. Neptune entered Aries literally one day after the first shots of the Civil War were fired. The United States spent that entire transit fighting its bloodiest conflict over whether human beings could legally own other human beings. During the same window, Russia abolished serfdom, Italy and Germany unified through war, and Japan went through the Meiji Restoration. Big moments on a global scale. And also the spiritual movements that emerged, spiritualism exploded. I'm talking about seances and parlors and living rooms. And by the end of the Civil War, 11 million Americans identified with this practice. Many of them trying to process, of course, the bloodshed, the mass death happening on a daily basis, while also demanding proof that consciousness survives. And the question here wasn't whether the divine existed, but whether it had any relevance to people being killed over their skin color. And here's where it gets even wilder, because on February 20th, 3 weeks after Neptune enters Aries, Saturn meets Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries. We've been talking about this a lot, right? This conjunction, it hasn't happened at this specific degree in recorded history. Saturn is structure and limitation, discipline, and the harsh reality we have to face. Neptune is dreams, it's spirituality, it's dissolution, it's the collective unconscious. Saturn builds, of course, they build walls, and Neptune dissolves them. And when they meet, old structures that have lost integrity erodes. The 1989 Saturn-Neptune conjunction saw the Berlin Wall fall and the Soviet Union collapse. The 1917 conjunction brought the Russian Revolution, and at 0 degrees of Aries, that's the Aries point. The first degree of the zodiac where planets gain world stage significance. They don't just affect individuals, they shape history. So whatever we've been pretending about, personally and collectively, stops being sustainable with this transit. The planet of reality meets the planet of dreams at the cosmic reset button. But Neptune in Aries, of course, doesn't work alone, because from now until 2028, we've got 3 outer planets forming what some astrologers call the magic triangle. Pluto in Aquarius running until 2043, Neptune in Aries until 2039, and Uranus entering Gemini in April of 26 through 2033, of course. Pluto in Aquarius last showed up during the American and French revolutions, talking liberty, equality, fraternité, that's very Aquarian language. The Haitian Revolution also happened during this transit, which was the first successful slave revolt, creating the first Black Republic. Pluto exposes what's rotten and forces transformation of power structures. Uranus in Gemini last occurred during World War II, when information became warfare. I'm talking about radar, code breaking, radio propaganda. Uranus has been in Gemini as well during every major US war, Revolutionary, Civil, World War II. So the pattern is clear here. Uranus in Gemini corresponds with periods where how we think and communicate undergoes radical, often violent change. The triangle here works because aspects are actually flowing. Instead of planets grinding against each other through oppositions or squares, this configuration, it really channels the energy beautifully. Pluto reveals what must change, Uranus innovates solutions, and Neptune, at the apex of Aries, provides moral vision and spiritual motivation. This combination, it favors revolution that moves towards something, not just away from what's collapsing. All right? So now that we got all those major transits out of the way, what do we do? I ask myself this question every single day, and I waver between trust that I'm doing serviceful work while also knowing that I could do more. Sometimes there's shame in that doing more side of things, and sometimes there's inspiration. But regardless of the feelings, I know that the medicine is action. So here's what you can do or try on. First, understand this. They are not coming to save us. Beyonce, Taylor, J-Lo, whoever your celebrity idol is, they're not coming. They don't care about us like that. If they did, they'd be here. So it's up to us to create the culture in which our future can build off of. Yes, it's gonna get more violent. Yes, it's gonna be scary, but you don't have to participate like that, okay? Think inventively about arming our cause with the skills, the art, the resources necessary to sustain actual change. Second, engage with community locally. Please. It's easy and immediate to engage with these screens and to connect and maybe feel exhausted or tired by it. And then whoop, there goes all our energy. But if whatever you get from this is not filtered or siphoned through the immediacy and actual reality of human contact, then what are we doing here? Do you know your neighbors? Are you involved with positive influences outside of this virtual space? One thing keeping the extremist Christian movement going is church, a space where shared values are normalized and celebrated. Like, we gotta learn from that. We get to create our own church here, a church rooted in the inclusivity and forward-thinking new earth we want to live in. Number 3, do your research, sit with the discomfort, and move. We got to be talking to one another, sharing what we're learning, spreading the good news, the real news, all of it. Start a book club, engage in healthy debate, ask questions. The astrological gates are now open to build tactful skills of debate and meaning making. In whatever debate you find yourself in, just know that you are one question away from planting a seed. Look, y'all, all this to say, I don't know what's ahead. Nobody knows. We can predict, we can intuit, but whatever comes is going to be challenging. And that's the point. We're here to grow, and I'm growing alongside you. All of this is just as much medicine for myself as it is for you, to which I say, take your time with this work and really be honest with what you can truly offer versus what you're comfortable offering or what's convenient. We're not asking for too much, and in the amplification of us truly asking for us, trust and believe the oppressive boot is going to press down harder. Use your fear, use that love, use your vision to build a better world for the generations that come after us. We are the future ancestors, as Adrienne Marie Brown says. We came for this moment, and it is our responsibility. You weren't born at the wrong time, my love. This is just our turn. It's our turn to fight. The question isn't whether you're capable. It's whether you'll fuck around and find out. All right? Thank you so much for listening. If you would like, I invite you to get involved with my private community called The Collective, where there's horoscopes, workshops, courses, and a private community to integrate all of this wisdom with. I would love to have you there. It's very grassroots. I'm looking for artists, for leaders, for moderators. All of it, it's linked in the description below. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Right now, there's a 30-day free trial going on, and I'd love to have you there. That's it. No more shameless plugging. I love you so much. Do this work. Mwah. Bye for now.